So many times things are just not going right in life, and you often feel that it's happening because of other people. That makes it even worse because not only now you feel irritated and angry at them, you also feel powerless because their stupidity, their lack of consideration is now affecting your life. And clearly, you can't control other people, you can't shut them up, you can't kill them, and they continue to mess with your lives. Then there are other people who can't take care of their own life, who make stupid mistakes, but they end up blaming you. When things go wrong, they put it all on you. You probably did your best for them, you wished them well, you have done so much, but all you get in return is blame or accusations. So, what is all this mess? You and other people are entangled in blame games. Sometimes you're batting, sometimes you're fielding, sometimes you're attacking, sometimes you're defending. And at the end of the day, these games are not fun. They leave everybody unhappy. So, of course, there is a better way to live life and deal with other people. I'm simply going to lay out a few key ideas. Now, these are very simple ideas, but very, very, very important. So, the first key idea is everybody takes their own responsibility and only their own. It's really important to have this boundary. Like, you take your responsibility, I'll take mine. Nobody blames anybody. Why no blaming? I'll tell you some reasons. First of all, blaming is factually wrong. So look at what you're doing. So there was an effect in your life, like event, outcome, anything. Let's call this effect. And you tell the other person that you are the cause of this effect. So in the chain of cause and effect, you're saying because of you, the cause, it's leading to this undesirable effect. But reality is very different. For each effect, in reality, there are actually multiple causes. Let's say you did not succeed in your career, so you blame your dad for that. You did not let me choose the career that I was interested in, and this is why I'm a failure today. Now you can do that, you can blame your dad, but your dad was not the only cause. There are countless examples in life where people have defied authoritarian parents and have gone on to have a successful career. So, what could be another factor in your career not doing good enough? Another factor is your own capability. Then another factor is your own personality. Then another factor is the culture. Then another factor is the country that you're born in. There are just so many variables. And also for each of those variables, there are actually causes behind them. So it's like even your dad. He seems like a cause, but your dad is also an effect of some causes. So your dad has come from where? Why was your dad authoritarian? Because probably his dad was authoritarian with him. Or probably he was born with that personality which was averse to risk taking. And then you can talk about your own personality. Again, your personality was a cause, but behind your personality was what? Behind your personality was your parents' genes. Behind your personality was your own upbringing. So this is like a chain of cause and effects. So your career not doing well is dependent on so many different things that have gone before you. So blaming just your dad for it would be factually wrong. In general, I really want you to move from only cause to partial cause. Any cause that you identify is probably mistaken because it's incomplete and you don't know the weight of it. You don't know how it stacks up against other causes. Like, is it the 50% cause or the 10% cause or the 5% cause? You don't know those things. So when you confidently blame somebody that this is happening because of you, you are ignoring such a big chunk of reality, probably 90% of the reality. Then there is a big problem with blaming is that it hurts others because humans inherently want to believe that they are a force for good. So when you connect a human being to an undesirable effect, for example, you connect your dad to your failed career, you're making your dad feel like he was a force for bad. You're making him feel like that because of him, the world is a worse place now, and that's not very kind to him. It is, of course, very hurting. And sometimes people go a step above. Not only they find other people responsible for their failure or their undesirable outcome, they also make it sound like the other person did it intentionally. Now that's much worse. Then you're pretty much telling the other person that you're just evil, that you're doing bad for the sake of it. And that's probably never true because people don't really have it against you as such. They don't wake up in the morning thinking of ways to hurt you. That's not how world works. This is why it's a good idea to assume good intentions. What I want you to understand here is that people can do things which may lead to desirable and undesirable outcomes. Does not mean that people were bad. Their existence, their mistakes, their limitations, their lack of capabilities can sometimes lead to undesirable outcomes. Does not mean you start condemning the people. So what do? When something bad happens in your life, try to attribute it to unfortunate turn of events. Because probably hundreds of different causes came together to form different effects, which in turn mixed with other effects and then became causes, and that led to other effects and then so on. And ultimately all of that culminated into that current scenario that you are seeing. So a lot of things have gone before you, and ultimately Ultimately, it all comes down to bad luck. So if you're going through a bad time, ultimately you can trace it down to simply unfortunate turn of events. Bad luck. You do not have to blame any single human being. You do not have to find a scapegoat. You don't have to take it out on other people. Now, another reason blaming becomes problematic is it is actually bad for you. If you blame others, you act like a victim. You act like things are not in your control. And if others are creating problems, what can you do? You are powerless. This takes away your motivation to improve. This takes away your motivation to sit down, reflect what went wrong. This takes away your motivation to actually learn new skills. And in the long run, it's a very, very problematic attitude. In the present moment, when you blame somebody, it can give you some temporary relief, but in the long run, it will make you very resentful, negative, and actually very weak. So a better attitude is, whatever happens, I'm responsible for it. I'm going to take care of it. Now, of course, that's factually wrong. You are not the only responsible cause. Like I just said, there are multiple different causes. You're not the only one. But when you take responsibility on yourself psychologically, it gets the best out of you. So it's also important to remember that when you take responsibility for yourself and then things go wrong, does not mean that you now start condemning yourself. Oh, because it was all my responsibility. That's impossible. There are so many different causes. So maybe you can remember this line. You take responsibility psychologically, but not factually. And ultimately, if things go wrong, you always remember that even in your case, it can be traced down to unfortunate turn of events. And this is why wisdom is tough, because you're balancing two perspectives here. On one hand, you're saying, I'm responsible for it so that it gets the best out of you. On the other hand, you're not taking it to the extreme. You're also saying, no, for certain things, I'm not responsible. Another reason blaming becomes problematic is, of course, that it hurts the relationship. You're bringing negativity to the relationship. You're actually taking away their motivation to do anything again for you, because nobody enjoys being attacked. They would rather just cut off from you than take the risk of doing something for you, because you might end up blaming them. So a better attitude here is that you be grateful for their efforts when things go right, and you be grateful for their efforts when things go wrong, because you need to focus on the efforts part, not the outcome part. That person did something for you, with you, and it's important to be grateful and be thankful for the effort part. That keeps the relationship going. And finally, blaming is actually useless, because you are blaming somebody for something that has already happened. No matter how much you blame somebody, they can't go back and change the history, can they? You can put them in jail, you can hang them, but the history won't change. So a better idea here is to focus on the future. What changes do we make today so that the future can be better? And when you're talking to people about future correction, if you come from a place of blame that, oh, I found you wrong and now you correct yourself, they will get defensive. If they feel attacked, they won't listen to you. They won't want to change. Blaming creates that negative environment. The better attitude here is that, you know what, whatever happened, happened. You did your best. It led to this. How do we make sure that it doesn't happen again? And when you start the conversation like that, they are way more open to changing. Overall, I would say, when things go wrong in life, rise above the need to want to put it on people. Try to fight the tendency to blame people for it. Things go wrong. That's a very normal part of life. In fact, it's the most natural part of life if you take the law of entropy into account. Things break down, things fall apart, disintegrate, decay over time. There are bad coincidences. People make bad judgments. They have limited capacities. They have limited knowledge, etc. In any given moment, there is a huge probability of things going wrong. And the more complex and long-term the project, the higher the probability. So things going wrong is just a natural part of life. Accept that in advance. I understand that blaming sometimes feels good. It kind of gives you an explanation that, oh, because of this person, things went wrong. It helps you feel certain inside. And more importantly, it kind of absolves you of your personal responsibility, because now I'm not at fault. Like, you can save your own face by blaming somebody else. And then you get to take out your anger on somebody else, which probably also gives you some comfort, because there sure is some inherent pleasure in being able to condemn people, criticize them, judge them, because that makes you feel superior. But today, I urge you to fight all of this. Don't give in to this need. It is good to sit down and reflect what went wrong, just understanding the causes neutrally. But it's very problematic to want to put it on somebody. I want you to rise above that pleasure. So I repeat the final line, don't blame, don't take blame. And because of all the reasons given above, now if you don't like this video, you cannot blame me. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye. Everyone has their own unique share of problems in life that make them unhappy, sad, irritated, angry, disappointed, resentful, or dissatisfied with life itself. Having problems is normal, nothing to be ashamed of. But if those problems become serious or overwhelming, you must stop and take help. By taking help, I mean Talk about whatever you're going through to a counselor, to a therapist. Trust me, it's helpful. You can find a counselor on your own or you can come to us, but please take help. If you don't, it not only affects your mental health but also your physical health. In Shridhar Life School, we have a team of psychologists who specialize in counseling. Collectively, we have over 1500 hours of experience in counseling just within this organization. Here are some feedbacks from our clients. If you wish to take counseling from us, go to our website page www.shridharlifeschool.com/counsel. Click on this link and fill this application form. We will get back to you soon.